Jin's antenna twitched nervously as he guided his research vessel through the asteroid field. The young Azurian scientist had been mapping mineral deposits on Moon K7 for 3 standard cycles when his sensors picked up something unusual, a small metallic object drifting between the rocks. "Computer, identify object," Jin said, brushing his blue-scaled hand across the control panel. "Object identified as escape pod. Design matches Human Federation specifications. Warning, pod shows significant damage." Jin hesitated. Everyone in the galaxy knew about humans. They were newcomers, only joining the galactic community 50 years ago, but stories of their unpredictable nature spread quickly. His supervisor had warned him repeatedly, avoid contact with humans whenever possible. But something about the pod's erratic movement suggested its life support might be failing. Jin couldn't ignore that. "Computer, bring us alongside the pod." "Prepare docking clamps." The computer beeped in acknowledgement as Jin maneuvered his vessel closer. Through the viewport, he could see the pod was badly damaged, its hull scorched by weapons fire. This wasn't an accident. Someone had attacked this human. Once the pod was secured in his cargo bay, Jin approached it cautiously. The airlock hissed, open, revealing a small, cramped interior. Inside, a human female lay unconscious, blood seeping from a wound on her forehead. Her skin was pale, almost matching the white of her damaged spacesuit. Jin's medical training took over. He carried her to his medical bay and instructed the computer to scan her injuries. "Subject has suffered trauma to cranium. Internal bleeding detected. Immediate medical intervention required." Jin worked quickly, applying regenerative gel to her wounds and administering oxygen. For hours he monitored her vital signs, wondering what trouble he'd brought aboard his ship. On the second day, her eyes opened. They were dark brown, showing confusion and then alarm as she registered Jin's alien appearance. "You're safe," Jin said in basic galactic common. "I'm Jin. I found your pod." The human tried to sit up but winced in pain. "Mina," she said, touching her chest. "My name is Mina. Thank you for saving me." Over the next few days, as Mina recovered, she explained what had happened. She was a scientist too, studying deep space anomalies near the border of Zarkon territory when her research vessel detected unusual energy signatures from a nearby moon. "I found a secret facility," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The Zarkon were testing biological weapons on human colonies. I took samples, recordings, but they discovered me. I barely escaped in the pod." Jin's antenna flattened against his head in alarm. "The Zarkon Empire? This is very dangerous. Information." Before Mina could respond, Jin's communication system chimed. A message from Azurian Central Command appeared on screen. "Attention all citizens. Be alert for human female, escaped from Zarkon custody. Any sightings must be reported immediately. Harboring this fugitive will be considered an act against the Galactic Peace Treaty." Below the message was Mina's image. Jin looked from the screen to Mina, his heart's racing. "The Zarkon are searching for you." "They'll say I'm a spy or terrorist," Mina said, her face tight with worry. "But I'm just a scientist who found something terrible. If you turn me in, they'll kill me and destroy the evidence. Millions could die." Jin paced the small cabin. Helping her meant becoming a fugitive himself. His career, his life on Azuria. Everything would be over. His communication system chimed again. This time, it was his supervisor. "Jin, strange energy signatures have been detected near your location. A Zarkon diplomatic vessel is approaching Moon K7. They claim to be searching for a dangerous human criminal. Have you seen anything unusual?" Jin looked at Mina, who stared back with pleading eyes. He thought of the oath he took as a scientist, to seek truth and preserve life. "Nothing unusual here, Supervisor," Jin replied, his antenna quivering with the lie. "Just completing my survey." After ending the communication, Jin turned to Mina. "We need to leave immediately. I know someone who might help us, a trader who operates outside official channels." As Jin prepared his vessel for departure, a large shadow fell across the viewport. A Zarkon warship had entered orbit around the moon. "They're scanning us," Jin said, frantically working the controls. "Hold on." Jin's small research vessel darted between the asteroids, using them as cover, while the massive Zarkon ship tried to lock onto them. In saving one human, Jin had just made an enemy of the most dangerous empire in the galaxy. Jin's research vessel limped into the hidden docking bay on Azuria's smallest moon. The Zarkon warship had fired several shots during their escape, damaging one of the engines. Jin helped Mina from the ship, both of them exhausted after 3 days of running and hiding. "Welcome to Moonbase Minor," Jin said, gesturing to the dimly lit underground facility. Not many know about this place. A tall Azurian with dark blue scales stepped from the shadows. Unlike Jin's scientist uniform, this Azurian wore the modified armor of someone who operated outside official channels. "You've brought trouble, old friend," the Azurian said. "Day, this is Mina," Jin explained. "She needs our help." Day's antenna twitched with concern. "A human? The whole system is buzzing with alerts about a missing human. The Zarkon ambassador himself is meeting with our council right now." Jin helped Mina to a seat. Her wound had mostly healed, but she still moved carefully. She discovered something terrible. The Zarkon are testing weapons on human colonies. Dee's yellow eyes widened. "This goes beyond smuggling or looking the other way at research regulations, Jin. This could mean war." "I know," Jin said quietly, "but it was the right thing to do." Day activated a view screen. The news feed showed the Grand Azurian Council chamber, where a tall, gray-skinned Zarkon diplomat stood addressing the council. "This human has stolen vital security information," the Zarkon ambassador said, his voice cold and precise. "She is a spy. The Azurian scientist who helped her escape is now complicit in her crimes. For the good of galactic peace, they must both be surrendered to Zarkon justice immediately." The head of the Azurian Council looked troubled. "Ambassador, we have long maintained peaceful relations with both humans and the Zarkon Empire. Perhaps this matter could be settled through diplomatic channels." "Diplomatic channels?" The Zarkon's voice rose slightly. "When our security has been breached, the Zarkon Empire issues this ultimatum: surrender the human and the scientist within 3 standard days, or we will consider it an act of war." Mina clenched her fists. "They're lying. I wasn't stealing secrets, I was documenting crimes. They've been testing biological weapons that target human genetic markers." Day switched the feed to another channel, where an Azurian reporter was speaking. "Breaking news. The Human Federation has just received word of the situation. In an unprecedented move, all Earth ships throughout the galaxy have been recalled to defensive positions." The screen changed to show a human in a dark blue uniform with gold insignia. Admiral Park of the Earth Defense Fleet stood tall before a bank of reporters, her face stern. "The Human Federation has received disturbing information regarding one of our citizens," Admiral Park announced. Mina Lee, a respected scientist, discovered evidence of illegal weapons development targeting human colonies. She was then attacked and is now being hunted. "Let me be perfectly clear to the Zarkon Empire. Return our citizen unharmed, or learn why the galaxy fears making enemies of humans." Jin, Mina, and Day watched in stunned silence as the human admiral continued. "We have attempted peaceful coexistence since joining the galactic community. But make no mistake, we will not stand by while our people are threatened. The Earth Defense Fleet is now on high alert." Day switched off the view screen. "It seems you have powerful friends, Mina." "I transmitted a partial data package before they hit my ship," Mina explained. "But the complete evidence is still here." She tapped a small device on her wrist. "I need to get this to Earth authorities." A soft alarm sounded in the base. Day checked his security monitors. "We have company. An Azurian security team is searching this sector." "Our own people?" Jin asked, his antenna drooping in disappointment. "The Council is scared," Day said. "The Zarkon have 3 times our military strength. They don't want a war." "But they'll have one if they hand us over," Mina said. Day nodded grimly. "We need to move. I have a faster ship in the lower bay." As they gathered essential supplies, Jin's communication device chimed. He answered cautiously. "Jin," a familiar voice said. "It's your supervisor. Are you safe?" "As safe as a fugitive can be," Jin replied. "Listen carefully," his supervisor said. "The human fleet is sending a covert extraction team to get you both. They'll arrive at coordinates I'm sending now in 12 hours. Can you reach these coordinates?" Jin looked at the location. A small asteroid field beyond Azuria's defense grid. "We'll try. Be careful," his supervisor added. "The Zarkon have deployed hunter ships throughout the system. And Jin, what you did was brave. History will remember it." The communication ended. Jin turned to the others. "We have a rendezvous to make." Outside the hidden base, the stars shone coldly in the vacuum of space. Somewhere out there, 2 galactic powers were positioning for war, all because one Azurian scientist couldn't leave a human to die. Dai's ship darted between the jagged asteroids, its engines running silent. In the cramped cabin, Jin monitored the sensors while Mina checked her data device for the 100th time. The evidence it contained could save millions of lives, if they survived long enough to deliver it. 2 hours until the rendezvous point, Day announced from the pilot's seat. So far, no signs of pursuit. Jin's antenna suddenly stiffened. "Wait, I'm picking up energy signatures ahead. They're faint, but—" "Zarkon hunter ships," Day confirmed, his yellow eyes narrowing at his own readings. 3 of them. They've positioned themselves near the rendezvous coordinates. Mina leaned forward. "How did they know?" "The Zarkon have spies everywhere," Day said grimly. "We need to find another way around." Before they could change course, a bright flash lit up the viewport. Another ship had appeared seemingly from nowhere, sleek, dark, and unlike any design Jin had ever seen. "It's not Zarkon," Jin said, checking the sensors. "And it's not Azurian," Day added. Mina's eyes widened with recognition. "It's human. That's one of our stealth vessels." The unknown ship sent a brief encoded transmission to Mina's data device. "It's Commander Han of Earth Special Forces," she explained. "They're creating a diversion so we can reach the main extraction ship." As if on cue, the human vessel accelerated directly toward the hidden Zarkon ships, weapons firing. The hunter ships, caught by surprise, scattered in different directions. "Now's our chance," Day said, pushing his engines to full power. The small ship shot forward through the gap created by the battle. They were halfway to the new coordinates when Jin spotted more ships approaching, a full Zarkon patrol squadron. "We're not going to make it," Jin said, his voice tight with fear. Suddenly, space itself seemed to ripple before them. A massive vessel emerged from what appeared to be a fold in reality. Its hull bore the emblem of the Earth Defense Fleet. "That's impossible," Day whispered. "Humans don't have fold technology." "We weren't supposed to have it for another decade," Mina admitted. "The Galactic Council doesn't know everything about us." The human battleship opened fire on the Zarkon squadron. Jin had never seen weapons like these. Not energy beams or plasma, but something that seemed to distort space around the target ships, crushing them. "Gravitational weapons," Mina explained, seeing Jin's shocked expression. "Earth has been preparing defenses since we discovered how vulnerable we were compared to older galactic civilizations." Their small ship received landing instructions and was quickly pulled into a docking bay within the massive human vessel. When the airlock opened, a group of humans in dark uniforms waited for them. A tall woman with short black hair stepped forward. "Commander Han, welcome aboard the EDF Defender." She nodded respectfully to Jin and Day. "Thank you both for helping our scientist." "The data," Mina said urgently, holding up her wrist device. "I have everything documented." "Commander," Han nodded. "Our analysts are ready, but first we need to get out of Azuria and space. The Zarkon are calling this an act of war." As they followed Commander Han through the ship, Jin noticed how the human crew operated with precise efficiency. The ship's interior was utilitarian but advanced, with technology that seemed decades beyond what humans had shown the galactic community. They reached the bridge where view screens showed the battle outside. The human stealth ship had rejoined them, while the remaining Zarkon vessels were retreating. "Captain," Commander Han addressed an older human male. "Our guests are aboard and secure." The captain nodded. "Prepare for full jump. We're heading to the emergency rendezvous point." Jin watched in amazement as crew members worked at their stations. "You've been hiding your true capabilities all this time?" Commander Han gave a small smile. "Wouldn't you if you were the newcomers in a galaxy full of ancient empires? We showed just enough to be taken seriously but kept our best technologies in reserve." Mina was already working with the ship's analysts, transferring her data to their systems. "The evidence is clear," she announced. "The Zarkon were developing biological weapons specifically designed to target human genetic markers. They tested them on 3 isolated human colonies, disguising it as a natural plague." The captain's face hardened. "This changes everything. The Galactic Council needs to see this immediately." A communications officer called out, "Captain, incoming transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Park wishes to speak with you." The main view screen activated, showing Admiral Park's stern face. "Captain, I've just received word of the rescue operation. Status? Successful, Admiral. We have Dr. Lee and her Azurian allies safely aboard. The evidence has been secured." Admiral Park nodded. "Good. The Zarkon ambassador to Earth just delivered their ultimatum directly to our president. They're demanding we hand over Dr. Lee and abandon our aggressive posture." She smiled grimly. Their ambassador seemed quite shocked when our president laughed in his face. The ship shuddered slightly as it prepared for the fold jump. "What happens now?" Jin asked. Commander Han looked at him seriously. "Now, we show the galaxy why it was a mistake to underestimate humanity, and why it was the right choice for you to save one of us." The stars outside the viewport stretched into lines as the human warship disappeared into folded space, leaving the Zarkon forces far behind. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with tension. Representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations had gathered for an emergency session. Jin sat beside Mina and Day, all 3 now wearing protective vests with the Earth Defense Fleet insignia, a symbolic gesture of human protection. "The Council recognizes the representative from the Zarkon Empire," announced the elderly Mendaxian chairperson, their translucent skin glowing faintly with stress. The Zarkon ambassador glided to the central platform, his gray skin stretched, tight across sharp features. "Esteemed Council members, the Human Federation has committed multiple acts of war against the Zarkon Empire. They have violated our space, attacked our vessels, and harbored criminals. We demand immediate sanctions against Earth and the surrender of the fugitives." Jin noticed how the ambassador avoided mentioning the biological weapons evidence. The Zarkon were hoping to frame this as a simple border dispute. The human ambassador, a calm woman named Ambassador Lee, rose next. "The Zarkon speak of crimes while hiding their own. Dr. Mina Lee discovered Zarkon facilities developing and testing biological weapons specifically designed to target human genetic markers. This violates 17 different Galactic Council resolutions." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several representatives shifted uncomfortably. "Lies and fabrications," the Zarkon ambassador hissed. "Where is this supposed evidence?" "Ambassador." Lee nodded to Mina, who stood and approached the central platform. Jin watched with pride as she connected her data device to the Council's systems. Immediately, the chamber's holographic displays filled with images, test results, and genetic analyses. "I documented everything," Mina said clearly. "These weapons were tested on 3 human colony worlds, killing over 15,000 people. The Zarkon disguised it as a natural disease outbreak." Before the Council could react, an aide rushed to the Zarkon ambassador and whispered urgently in his ear. The ambassador's face darkened. "This session is a distraction," he announced suddenly. "While you debate here, the real conflict has already begun." As if on cue, emergency alerts flashed across every communication device in the chamber. The chairperson activated the central news feed. Images showed Zarkon warships attacking human outposts along their shared border. "The Zarkon Empire will not be threatened by primitive newcomers," the ambassador declared. "This conflict will end quickly, and the Council will see the folly of supporting humans." Jin looked at Mina, whose face had gone pale. "They're attacking civilian stations," she whispered. Ambassador Lee remained unnervingly calm. "Chairperson, the Human Federation, requests a brief recess to address this situation." Outside the council chamber, Jin found himself rushed along with Mina and Day to a secure room where Commander Han waited with several high-ranking human officers. "The Zarkon have attacked 6 outposts simultaneously," Commander Han reported. "They believe this show of force will frighten us into submission." A holographic display showed the border regions. Red dots indicated Zarkon forces advancing, then suddenly, blue markers appeared behind the Zarkon fleet. "What are those?" Jin asked. "Our response," Commander Han said simply. On the display, the blue markers moved with impossible speed, enveloping the Zarkon forces. Within minutes, over half the red dots had vanished. "How?" Day asked, his antenna twitching in disbelief. "The Zarkon fleet is supposed to be 3 times stronger than Earth's known forces." "Known forces," Mina emphasized. "Earth has maintained a shadow fleet, ships with our most advanced technology, kept hidden from galactic sensors." Jin watched, in amazement as the human counteroffensive unfolded. The Zarkon had expected an easy victory against what they thought was an inferior force. Instead, they were being systematically dismantled by technologies they'd never seen before. "The Zarkon have underestimated us from the beginning," Commander Han explained. "They saw us as newcomers to be manipulated or eliminated. They never considered we might be cautious about revealing our true capabilities." Back in the council chamber, the mood had shifted dramatically. News of the human counteroffensive had spread, and many representatives were re-examining their alliances. The Zarkon ambassador's confidence had evaporated. Jin requested permission to address the council. Standing on the central platform, he felt the weight of all those alien eyes upon him. "I am Jin, an Azurian scientist. I saved Mina because it was the right thing to do. In the days since, I've discovered something even more disturbing than biological weapons." Jin activated his own data presentation. "The Zarkon have been manipulating interspecies relations for centuries, keeping potential allies apart through disinformation and in-eared conflicts." Jin's research showed clear patterns. Whenever 2 civilizations began forming stronger bonds, Zarkon operatives would create incidents to drive them apart. The evidence was damning. They feared an alliance between Azurians and humans most of all, Jin concluded. "Our compatible scientific approaches and complementary ethics could have created a partnership strong enough to challenge Zarkon dominance." The council erupted in discussion. Several species came forward with their own accounts of Zarkon interference. The chairperson struggled to maintain order. Ambassador Lee approached Jin as he returned to his seat. "You've changed everything today," she said quietly. "The galaxy is realizing that the real threat was never humanity." On the displays above, the blue markers of Earth's fleet continued their advance into Zarkon territory. The war that was supposed to punish one Azurian for saving one human was becoming a galactic revolution. The great dome of the Galactic Council headquarters gleamed in the light of 3 suns. Inside, representatives from 32 civilizations watched as the formal treaty was prepared. 6 months had passed since the Zarkon launched their attack on human outposts. 6 months of conflict that changed the galaxy forever. Jin stood by a large viewport, his blue scales shimmering slightly in the sunlight. He wore the special insignia that marked him as the first non-human ever granted honorary Earth citizenship. Beside him, Mina adjusted her formal uniform, now bearing the rank of Science Director. "Nervous?" she asked, noticing Jin's twitching antenna. "A little," Jin admitted. "I never thought saving one human would lead to all this." Day approached them, wearing the new uniform of the Azurian Defense Force. "They're ready for us. The signing ceremony is about to begin." The 3 friends walked together into the main chamber. The room fell silent as they entered. Where once the Zarkon had held the most prominent position, their seats now stood empty. Their empire had fallen in just 4 months. Their superior, numbers meaning nothing against Earth's hidden technologies and the alliance that formed around them. Admiral Park stood at the center table representing Earth. She nodded respectfully as Jin, Mina, and Day took their places. Representatives from 12 other species joined them, all former victims of Zarkon manipulation who had united with Earth and Azuria. "Today we sign the Galactic Cooperation Treaty," announced the Mendaxian chairperson. "A new agreement that replaces the old order with one based on transparency, mutual defense, and scientific cooperation." Jin remembered the final battle, how Earth's fleet had pushed all the way to the Zarkon homeworld, not to destroy, but to liberate. The Zarkon people themselves had risen up when they learned how their leaders had manipulated not just other species, but their own citizens. The ruling council had been overthrown by their own military. "Before we sign," Admiral Park said, "I would like to recognize the individual whose courage started this chain of events. Jin of Azuria, please step forward." Jin moved to the center of the chamber, his heart's beating rapidly. When Jin found a damaged escape pod containing a single human scientist, he faced a choice, Admiral Park continued. The safe choice would have been to report it and continue his work. Instead, he chose compassion. He chose to save a life, knowing it might cost him everything. The Admiral gestured to a small pedestal, where a simple crystal cube glowed with soft light. "This monument will stand permanently in this chamber. Inside is the data record of Jin's research vessel from the moment he discovered Mina's escape pod. It will remind future generations that sometimes the greatest changes begin with the smallest acts of kindness." The assembly applauded as Jin returned to his place, his antenna quivering with emotion. The treaty signing proceeded, each representative adding their mark to the document. When Jin's turn came, he paused for a moment, thinking of how differently things might have turned out if he had followed his supervisor's original warnings about humans. After the ceremony, the new allies gathered in the Great Hall for a celebration. Jin found himself approached by a group of young Azurian scientists, their antennae bent forward in respect. "Is it true?" one asked. "Did you really know that saving the human would expose the Zarkon conspiracy?" Jin laughed. "No, I just couldn't leave someone to die when I had the power to help." "But you risked everything," another said with awe. "Sometimes that's what doing the right thing requires," Jin replied. Across the room, Jin spotted Mina deep in conversation with scientists from 3 different species. Already the new cooperation was bearing fruit. With the Zarkon no longer sowing distrust, civilizations were sharing knowledge that had been kept separate for centuries. "There you are," Day said, joining Jin. "The council has approved our joint proposal. The research station will be built next year, the first facility in the galaxy staffed by scientists from all member worlds." "And they approved my suggestion for its name?" Jin asked. Day nodded. "The new Beginning Research Center will officially open on the anniversary of the day you found Mina's pod." Later that evening, as the celebration continued, Jin stepped outside onto a balcony overlooking the capital city. The stars above seemed brighter somehow. Admiral Park found him there, gazing at the sky. "Thinking deep thoughts, Citizen Jin?" "Just wondering what would have happened if I had made a different choice that day." The Admiral smiled. "That's the thing about moments that change history. They rarely announce themselves. They look just like ordinary moments where we either show courage or we don't." A shooting star traced a bright line across the sky. "The Zarkon had one thing right," Admiral Park said. "They were right to fear what would happen if humans and Azurians became allies. They just didn't understand that what they should fear wasn't our weapons or technologies." "What then?" Jin asked. "The power of compassion," she replied simply. "It's the one force in the universe that can truly change everything." As the new allies celebrated the beginning of their cooperation, the galaxy entered a new era, one that began when a single Azurian scientist couldn't bear to leave a human to die, alone in the cold of space.